Timothée Chalamet was right, and you are wrong, and you are not the feminist you think you are for thinking otherwise. That is what I wanted to say 2 weeks ago when this was a relevant topic. I waited to cool down to say this now. And also, so maybe people will care less and not send me death threats. I want to make 2 disclaimers before I go on with my point, which is one, that I don't like Timothée Chalamet. I never did. I never found him attractive. I don't care if he lives or dies. Quite frankly, I find Dune to be personally a little bit offensive as an Arab. Dune in this current iteration, not Dune as a book that's a satire on Orientalism. I think that's cool, but I also haven't read it, so I'm not gonna speak anymore on that. Second disclaimer, I did ballet for 18 years. My mommy spent so much money on point shoes, canvas shoes, leotards, tights, frickin' the bobby pins I would lose after I used them immediately after every time. Hundreds, thousands of dollars. And that's not even including the lessons necessary. I also want to include that I studied operatic singing while I did musical theater for 12 years, 14 years? 14 years, $100 voice lessons, $50 an hour. People take up to $150 an hour for a voice lesson. I got quoted that personally myself in my adulthood. I thought, let me get back into this. I can't afford it. All that being said, I have no stake, no claim in this. I have no reason to feel the way I do other than I know that you guys are wrong. And I know that what he said is right. And when I make this claim to my friends, they keep saying, oh, but the way that you're explaining it maybe is right, but he didn't mean it like that. He did. He's not an idiot. Oh, he's Timothy. He's dating Kylie Jenner. He's a boy. He knows what he said. And you just don't understand it because whatever, you didn't go to NYU and spend $80,000 a year to learn the history of ballet and opera, to learn that what he said is correct. It's yawn, it's snooze fest, it's inaccessible. Let's talk about it. I'm going to include plenty of academic resources, ways to procure the knowledge that some of us in this generation I've now come to realize so desperately need. I'm not here to educate. I'm here to blow off some steam, but I will provide some resources, obviously, so that you can't be like, what are you even talking about? You showed us no proof. It's there. I'm going to start with a little bit of history, a little bit of context. The difference between what it meant in the 18th and 19th centuries. That's a long time. And I'm obviously generalizing major because I'm no intellectual. But what I need you to understand is that an actor in the theater, an opera performer, and a ballerina were all seen differently. This is because those theater actors in a Western context were all men. We're speaking within the container of the West. Okay? So they were men, male, gay, no, just kidding. Maybe it was, I don't know, but women could not perform. Ballerinas were considered, as we know from the work of Degas and, what's his name, Emile Zola? We know that they were considered to be prostitutes, and the main currency exchange in watching the ballet was more so paying to watch the ballerinas put their costumes on backstage. You would get your own seat in their dressing room. They were also just propositioned. Opera singers who dabbled in such, as I understand most were, because it's a dog-eat-dog world, were considered to be courtesans. This was if you were a notable, profound opera singer. You were a courtesan, which, if you look it up, is different than a prostitute because their clientele were the ruling class. Which would be like if I said Chantal Jeffries and Catherine from the Ace Family were not ever prostitutes. They were yacht girls, and that's different than doing OnlyFans. That's different. It's classier because because their clientele is rich and political or famous or whatever. Basically, opera and ballet were arts of the working class. As, can I say, crazy thing to say maybe, all art is. Every art we have is started by the poor, emotionally neglected. How do you think that emotion to make art comes from? You know what I mean? Like, the ruling class the bourgeoisie has no culture. They are just vulture. They just take and they appropriate and they consume and they squeeze the skin of the, what the art is and what the taste is. And they make it exclusive so that the poor, the working class, can no longer do the art that they created. And that is how we get $200 point shoes, and that every ballerina looks like this, and not even in terms of like body, but is white, is fragile, her hair looks a certain way. And of course there has been some work made to undo that by very prolific, incredible, talented ballerinas of color, but there's also been on the opposite side work to undo that, and ballet is very much at least in American context, because like America is so specific with its race and class and that intersectionality. That is how we get this American ballerina and what they look like and how they act and their lifestyle. And while I'm here, I also want to talk about the fact that the exclusionary attitude towards ballet corps, and I'm not like a warrior for ballet corps, because ultimately that is a repackaged like version of aesthetic. When I use the word aesthetic, I mean it in its modern sense, that is completely void of actual identity and personality, where you are not a ballerina, but you dress in this way. And so the people are mad that, like, ballet dancers are mad about Timothee Chalamet saying this thing about ballet and encouraging people to see more ballet. But when you're given this access point of ballet corps, and where normal people of our generation can dress in the ballerina off-duty fashion that will lead to an interest in actual ballet, the dancers get upset about it. Not everyone, that's obviously a generalization, but there's Reddit like r/freaking fake ballet for like ad campaigns and all that, and it's much more nuanced than that. But I'm saying, like, if they really did care about being inclusive and wanting to broaden their audience, like they would be champions of ballet corps, wouldn't they? I don't know. And we see this in literally every form of art, from performance to visual to fashion to whatever. Okay, I need you to understand that the ballet and the opera that we see now is a rinsed, sanded, neutered version of what ballet and opera actually are. The movies that we are watching today are not the emotional, because it wasn't a good thing to be an actor, to make movies, or to be a director. You were seen as a prostitute, as a sex worker, as something that people have historically regarded as dirty, as rotten, as unworthy, as whatever. But now it has been repackaged because it has been appropriated by the bourgeoisie as cool and interesting and culturally relevant for society. Because we all exist in this society, except no, we don't. And so this goes into my point about Timothée Chalamet, which is that he doesn't want what is happening in film to be what happened to ballet and opera. Ballet and opera are boring because they have been neutered by the bourgeoisie. And you like ballet and opera because you like to put on a nice outfit and spend $80 to $200 to $2,000 on Broadway to convince yourself that you are not them. You are making your way toward the bourgeoisie. And you're not even thinking about it like that, but you're thinking about the fact that you're comfortable because you could afford this ticket. Because it's nice to dress up and it's nice to see the ballet, but it's not. It just makes you feel okay with the fact that, yeah, I might be a barista, I might be a sales associate, I might be whatever, but I'm not the immigrant delivering my Uber Eats. I'm not the older, out of shape person scanning my groceries. I'm not that. Ew. That's not me, because I go to the ballet and I put on a pretty dress and I put on my heels and I And I am cultured, and I have taste, and I know art. You don't know art. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to be mean, and I don't want to be misogynist, and I think I am definitely walking that line, but I'm just like angry because for as much as a lot of the people talking about this right now are claiming to love ballet, like you're not going to a black box theater and seeing like a movement piece out of a U-Haul in freaking Bay Ridge. Like, you're not going to that. And maybe you are, and like, kudos. I don't know. But my point being that there's no need to go rah rah live art, because that's not your champion. And you are not the bourgeoisie, as far as I know. I don't know who you are watching this right now. Now I want to go on to celebrity. I want to talk about Timothee Chalamet. I want to talk about why people keep saying things like, why don't they do something? They're rich. They're rich and they should save the world. And I agree. Look, if you have money, you do what you can. You should. But I want to clarify, because this comes up sometimes in posts, because much to my freaking chagrin, like, I don't know what word to use, you should have to solve some sort of puzzle, some sort of CAPTCHA to be able to post. But you don't have to. You don't have to have the necessary click-clack logic to make a claim and put it on broadcast for the world to see. So a lot of slop is out there, and the slop is ingested. And I need to stress that actors, the performers who are rich, the influencers who are rich, are not the bourgeoisie. They are the jesters. In fact, I might even go as far to say that they are the courtesans that I was discussing, the modern day version of that. Because like we saw with like freaking Sydney Sweeney and whoever at Jeff Bezos' wedding, it's like she doesn't have a drop, a penny to what Jeff Bezos has. But she mingles with him and she, performs for him. I'm sorry, that was like misogynist. I don't know. But she does, and I'm sure he, loves her for that reason, for 2 reasons. Because she is providing a source of entertainment. And even if it's not explicitly sex, it is certainly sexual in its a desire to consume, in the bourgeoisie's desire to consume and feel close to art, to feel cultured. But they're not a part of culture. They're exempt from culture because, there's blood on their hands. Because they're so rich that they're taking advantage of people. They're killing people. And these actors, who are also rich, but see, this word rich is a completely different word in this context, are being held to the standards of I say Bezos, but there are even richer, maybe, I don't know, I don't keep tabs on the rich. There are even richer whose names are not public. Who knows? I don't know. Now I'm going to include something again, which is what I was ragging on someone before earlier about like putting on the dress and the heels and being like, I'm not them, I'm good, like, girl, I'm good. That applies nail on the head to celebrities. Celebrities are us, but they have become, since their departure from like that's a sex worker, to be more of something like a religious idol. People built altars and pray to some of these celebrities. They're treated as like deities, as otherworldly. They're gifted so much for free. You don't need that. You don't need free things. But people, they essentially they pray to them, they worship them. And these celebrities don't feel the need to speak up or use their money to help or do whatever because they put on these fancy dresses and they go to the Oscars, they go to these award shows. They rent these dresses, mind you. These literally like $100,000 dresses, $1 million jewels belonging to India or Africa or Southwest Asia, being like, I made it. I'm not a normal. I'm a special. So I'm like going crazy right now, but I just wanted to clarify that like we don't want to give them too much slack, but it's also like they are like mentally disturbed. This is the word I would use. Find out who those unnamed people are. Think, wow, Luigi Mangione. Now I'm just being prescriptive, like I shouldn't be giving this kind of advice, but it's like for me, when I think about it, I'm like, I should be more active. I should do something. We have the right to form a militia, you know what I mean? Like now more than ever, you are getting caught up in the wrong thing in the Timothee Chalamet hates ballet and opera of it all. You are mad about the wrong thing. But seeing that and posting a TikTok about it and getting a bunch of responses being like, yes, girl. Yeah, I didn't like him anyway. I've been waiting for his downfall. Gives you the necessary catharsis and relief to be like, I did something good and we're taking a step in the right direction. No, we're not. No, we're not. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I could be wrong about this all. I don't know. I know nothing. I'm 23 years old. I don't know anything. I'm just angry. And I can post whatever I want because it doesn't take a CAPTCHA. I don't have to solve a Rubik's Cube. You know, I could just upload it. And so I will. And isn't that the funniest part of all? So, yeah, thanks for watching if you did. And if you don't agree, or if you do, like, text me or whatever. I don't know. Like, I am curious to talk about this. Because I have talked about it with some of my friends. Some of them were like, but going to the ballet is not that expensive. It's not $200. It's $80. And I was like, that's still $80. $80 is a lot. I don't know. I say I want to post on here more, but I won't. I won't because I only really want to do this when I have something to say. Because this isn't my art. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you. I love you. I hope you're not mad at me. I'm not mad at you. I'm just feeling really big feelings. Okay. Bye.